Okay, here we go. We got Kenny. Hey, coach, how do you manage stress? Well, that's a bit of a broad question. What type of stress? Okay, let's think it's everyday stress. Okay, now listen, I just went to see a dermatologist. Why? I got these patches in my beard, and she's telling me, look, she told me, I know. Actually, I did some reading on this. It's believed. It's a theory. Okay, it's not proven that it causes by stress. See this? These patches. She says, look, you got to try to lower your stress. Now, I got some injections in my beard, and she says that's gonna help it grow, and hopefully, guys, I've already noticed that they kind of faded away. But she says the theory is two possible diseases: thyroid and what do you call it? Diabetes. She really doesn't think I have either one of those. She thinks it's stress. Now, listen, guys, if you were to follow me in a day, I do a lot in a day. Like, I don't find I'm stressed. Honestly, I don't find I'm stressed. However, I do burn the candle at both ends. I do. Believe me when I tell you, I get up in the morning, I go through my morning routine, I read, I study, I do my morning routine, then I go to practice, then I come home, I do this thing, then I train my sons, and then I go right back. I got no time. I got no time to kill. And then I go right back to the gym. So I have very little time to myself. Sometimes I will sneak in a small nap. Sometimes I will not do this episode and just lay down on the couch. I need to rest. And then I will go at night practice, and night practice is very long, and I'm working with the pros. And then I come back home at night, and again I do some reading. I like to watch a documentary. I have my dinner. That's my time where I deflate. However, sometimes I feel that I need a break. Like my routine is too intense. There's too much going on. And don't forget, guys, I also get, like, no exaggeration, I get between 30 to 70 emails a day, and that's not counting my text messages. So I'm getting like bombarded. That's why I don't open my emails. Like if you look at my phone, I got like 20,000 somewhat unread emails. Unread emails. Like when my wife looks at my phone, she's like, "You're crazy." So I had to take out that little red dot thing. I had to take it out because it's just too much information coming in all the time. So what do? Listen, one book that I read, and I've read a lot of books, and if I recommend you a book, guys, if I recommend you a book, it's because it's really a great book. I'll never recommend you a book that I didn't think was in the top 100 books I've ever read. Okay, so one of the books that I find was really excellent was Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, and he's got 7 habits, and every habit is a gem. Now, one of the habits is first things first. Okay, first things first. What's first things first? Well, you have a long list of things to do. And this, by the way, helps you manage stress. Guys, this, by the way, helps you manage stress. Because why? Because I have so many things to do in a day, but I always do the most important things first. I always do the most important things first. That's why I don't stress. I don't stress. Why? Because I'm always doing the most important thing that I have to do. So let me elaborate and it will make more sense, okay? Because I know at this point I haven't made any sense. There's another great book, Time Warrior. Time Warrior by Steve Chandler. Steve Chandler says this. He says, look, in his book, Time Warrior, How to Manage Your Time, he says, he tries to convince you that multitasking doesn't work. Okay? He gives some nice evidence for why multitasking does not work. So if you're trying to do 2 things at once, you do them both very poorly. And less gets done than if you did one thing at a time. So if you had to do 2 things, if you did one, then the other, you would get it done faster than if you tried to do them both simultaneously. Okay? So he goes on and convinces you that you're at your most efficient when you're doing one thing at a time. So we accept the premise that we're going to do one thing at a time, not 2 things at once, okay? You're going to do one thing at a time. That's it. Okay, do you accept this premise? Okay, personally, I accept this premise. In my life, I accept it. I can only do one thing at a time. Now, we're always going to do the most important thing on the list. So if we have 10 things to do, we're going to ask ourselves, what is the most important thing of these 10? What is the most important thing to do on this list? And we're going to do that one thing. That's it. I cannot ask from you any more than this. If you are always doing the most important thing on your list and you're doing one thing at a time, you should have 0 stress. Why? You're being as efficient as humanly possible. So I made my peace with all these emails coming in. I made my peace. Then I'm not going to read them all. I cannot read them all. With all the things people ask of me, all the fighters I need to train, all my, my family needs attention, all the projects I have, my sponsors want this, my sponsors want that. All of them, they all want something from me. Okay, perfect. Which one is the most important? That's the one I'm doing. Done. After that one is done, I'm going to go to the next one on my list. Okay, so I use a great app. Okay, let me show you this app I got. It's a red tag. It's called Clear. It's an app called Clear. Now I'm just opening it up. For some reason, my phone is bugging. It looks like this. Okay, I got to keep it far from you guys so you don't see all the stuff I have on here. But it looks like this. Okay, so you see it's red at the top, orange at the bottom, and it fades to orange. All I got to do is click on my task, slide it up. So I put the most important tasks up. So when I open my app Clear, there it is. I've prioritized it. Stephen R. Covey taught me years ago, do the first things first, the most important thing first. What is the most important thing? And it becomes a habit. So you're training in jiu-jitsu or you're training in MMA. I need to work on my slipping. I need to work on my cardio. I need to work on my wrestling. I need to work on my specific leg. I need to work on my double leg. I need to work on my front headlock. It could be so overwhelming. It could be so overwhelming. Okay, make a list. Make a list of all the things you need to work. Then put that list in order. This might be a tough thing to do. You might be like, you know what? I think cardio is the most important thing for me. Why? Because I'm doing really well in the first 2 rounds. Then the third round, I always tank. Okay, I'm going to really have to prioritize my interval running, my sprints or whatever, my fitness. Or you're doing really well in round 3, but everybody's lighting you up in round 1. Why? Because your skill is behind. Okay, well, listen, what specifically is behind? Well, I'm always being taken down. Well, you know what? Before I do any jiu-jitsu, I'm going to drill my takedown defense. I'm going to do some French wrestling. I'm going to have a few guys shoot on me. And then I'm going to do the other elements of, I'm going to hit the other elements of training. I'm going to prioritize. If you're good at prioritizing, guys, and you make your peace that you can only do one thing at a time, you should not be stressed. Sometimes in the gym, I literally have 3 or 4 people talking to me at once. Literally, I find it amazing how 4 people can be okay with talking to one person at once. Like it does happen, not really. And I'll stop the guys. I'm like, hey guys, excuse me, I have to pay attention here. That's what I usually tell people. I'm so very sorry to interrupt you guys, but I gotta go pay attention here because these guys are waiting for me. And that's all I do. I gotta tell them, guys, I would love to talk to you, but I have to pay attention here. And my focus is needed here. I cannot focus on 2 things at once. Another phenomenal book, guys. Another phenomenal book that is a must read. It's called The One Thing. I believe it's Michael Geller. I hate to get the author's name wrong. I read it years ago. It's such an amazing book. The One Thing. Let me just get the name because it bothers me when I get the author's name wrong or I forget the author's name. The One Thing. I believe it was Michael Geller. Why am I thinking Michael Geller? Gary Keller. By Gary Keller. Sorry, guys. I just twisted the last name. My apologies. The One Thing. Amazing book. He drills it in your head over and over again. Do one thing. What is the most important thing in your life you could do right now that's going to help affect the rest of your life? So this, when you're organized, I find lowers your stress. Because I feel like I'm working at maximum capacity.